Hey everybody, it's Joric. Welcome back. I hope you're doing great wherever you are in the world. I'm going to apologize up front for this video. There is some construction going on outside in the backyard, and so you may hear some noise in the background, so I apologize for that. No different than when we were living in Portugal. There was a lot of apartments being renovated in our area, and you could hear that throughout the year. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about this article. I've been waiting for some information to come out regarding the NHR and taxes, and more specifically, what Portugal leaves on the table every year by offering the NHR. And I want to give a quick review. When I'm talking about the NHR, there was the original NHR that if you were working, it would give a 10-year deal where you would pay no more than 20% tax in Portugal. And if you were retired, so you're on a D7 visa, you would be capped at 10%. And then they came up with what was called the 2.0 version of the NHR. They scrapped that original version. But there are a lot of people grandfathered into that through, provided they stay in Portugal, to a 10-year period. And then there's this 2.0 for like special industries or highly skilled work where you can have an opportunity to get this NHR program at a 20% cap on taxes. And I wanted to make this video because I wanted people to see there often when this topic comes up, there is a very divisive conversation in the comments, and sometimes people get pretty fired up about all of the money that people should be paying to Portugal in taxes, and they should be paying their fair amount, and this NHR shouldn't exist, and there should be a progressive tax for everyone, so everyone pays their fair share. And I thought this was interesting because I wanted to put this up for you and just show you that so the delta, or the what's missing, the deficit, if Portugal were to collect and everyone was paying their fair share, meaning there's no NHR, and regardless of whether you're working in Portugal or you're retired and a D7 in Portugal, that deficit that Portugal would be owed if everyone was paying normal taxes and no NHR, 1.7 million euros. And I saw that, and again, Portugal News isn't necessarily the best newspaper, and they don't have a lot of information. Often they give a paragraph of info, and then it doesn't give you the punchline or the meat and potatoes that you really want to dive into things. But then I read that, and I read it again, because it took 2 minutes to go through the article, and I kept thinking, okay, so there's a lot of hullabaloo over $1.7 million. That's nothing. Granted, in the greater scheme of things, it's a lot of money individually to people, I would think, but collectively to a government from a tax perspective, it's a drop in the bucket. So, and I'm not defending the NHR by any means, but it doesn't seem to make a hell of beans difference. So if NHR didn't exist, Portugal would only be getting 1.7 million more in tax revenue. That's it. And that's where I'm going with it, because I was expecting, because this is such a divisive topic, that there would be so many people, there would be tens of millions of dollars that would be missing, meaning not contributed to Portugal taxes, because people were getting this discount, if you will, or only paying a 10% for pensioners or 20% for workers. This doesn't seem to be much to get all that excited or upset about one way or the other. If you're for the NHR program, frankly, not a lot of people took advantage of it. And the reason I can prove that is it doesn't show up in the taxes. Not as many people probably are participating in NHR, and that tax that is owed out there, if you're anti-NHR, well, okay, it's 1.7 million. It's not a heck of a lot of money. I was expecting that an article like this would say that there is 10, 20, 30, 50 million that is being that is not going into Portugal's tax coffers because of this NHR deal. 1.7 million. It's virtually nothing, in my opinion, in the greater scheme of things, for what Portugal collects on taxes. So if it doesn't necessarily change my opinion on NHR, because we were a part of the NHR when we signed up when we moved in 2019. It's what the government offered, so we took advantage of it. But it's not. There isn't some great. There isn't a great amount of money that's being lost by having the NHR program. So I guess where I'm trying to wrap this up with, whether you had the original NHR or this modified version, it's not really making a bit of difference. It's not hurting Portugal's economy, quite frankly, all that much. And I don't know that people should be screaming bloody murder if people are having this NHR program. For $1.7 million, it doesn't seem to be, it seems to be something that maybe was a politically driven move that maybe got some votes along the way, but it's not making a huge impact in anything in Portugal. It's not helping the citizens, and you could say, yes, 1.7 million would be helpful to the citizens, but in the greater scheme of things, it doesn't help, quite honestly. So I want to get your opinions on it. I'm sure this is going to be a divisive, anytime I make a video about NHR, people get riled up, either really for it and want the old one back, the original, or are really against it and happy that it's mostly gone. But I'd like to get your opinion of it, because I think people fighting over 1.7 million isn't a whole heck of a lot of money to raise an eyebrow at, in my opinion. Please, what's your opinion? Let me know in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and enjoy your travels.